This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South Today, Queenstown and Invercargill are ruled out as centres for quarantine hotels, but Dunedin could get 2 or more. Nearly 200 jobs could be created in the south as plans to upgrade the Homer Tunnel are announced. And there's some good news for a St Kilda couple after a car crashed into their home. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Melissa Barton. Speaking in Dunedin this afternoon, Minister Megan Woods says Dunedin may host more than one quarantine hotel, whereas both Queenstown and Invercargill have been ruled out as possible southern venues for quarantine.
Minister of Managed Isolation Megan Woods in Dunedin today with Air Commodore Darren Webb on a reconnaissance mission looking for suitable hotels to quarantine returning citizens.
We're continuing to appraise Dunedin as a suitable location. We are ruling out, however, Queenstown and Invercargill as places for the managed isolation of returning New Zealand citizens and permanent residents.
Air Commodore Webb is leading the operations side of things and says the managed isolation of people returning to New Zealand has been going well during the weeks he and Minister Woods have been at the helm.
As of today, we've seen 29,631 New Zealanders return home and go through managed isolation and quarantine since the 26th of March. There are currently 4,475 people in managed isolation and quarantine. Our current effective capacity is 6,513.
Dr Woods took on the ministerial oversight of border isolation and quarantine operations in June. A further 501 deportees from Australia are due to fly into New Zealand next week, and Dr Woods says facilities need to be ready.
So typically we would be looking for somewhere between sort of around 100 rooms at a facility. We are looking at some options that have slightly below that, but we would probably be looking to have 2 or 3 hotels stood up because the infrastructure needs to be brought in to make it work.
Minister Woods wouldn't be drawn on which Dunedin hotels could become quarantine facilities, as she says the government is still in negotiations with hoteliers.
Once there is a decision made about those facilities, they're all listed on the COVID website, all the hotels that have been stood up, so I'd rather leave it to them.
Every person who arrives in New Zealand must stay in an isolation facility for a minimum period of 14 days. They must also test negative for COVID-19 before they can go into the community. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Work is continuing on the slip looming over State Highway 8 near Cromwell intersection. Additional safety barriers are to be installed at the site, allowing the road to reopen to 2 lanes. Sluicing work at the site had been suspended and workers to continue using abseil crews and diggers. A geotechnical assessment shows the slip's movement is complex and unpredictable. The task of stabilising the hillside and removing loose material is likely to take several weeks. 180 temporary jobs will be created in Southland after the government announced a $25 million upgrade to the Homer Tunnel in Fiordland. The boost has been welcomed by business and civic leaders.
Regional Economic Development and Infrastructure Minister Shane Jones met with Southlanders to announce a number of government-funded projects, including upgrading the Homer Tunnel, which provides tourists the only road access to Milford Sound.
It'll future-proof an essential part of our infrastructural resilience in this part of New Zealand. And at some point in time, tourism will recover and we'll need that kind of infrastructure so people can move around to Waiponamu in an efficient and safe manner.
Jones says the work will create 180 temporary jobs and bring much-needed safety improvements to the tunnel.
Various personnel at NZTA strenuously advised us that this was a major infrastructure shovel-ready project that would have substantial safety outcomes.
So far, no one has been injured when vehicles have caught fire in the tunnel, but the risk of a serious accident in the tunnel is a real one, which the improvements will help mitigate.
Yes, so there was a lot of fear that if there was an awful accident and people were trapped in the tunnel, there's an overdue need to create space to enable people to survive or to ensure that the frontline service men and women could get in there, God forbid, in the case of an awful accident.
Some of the work on the Homer Tunnel is set to begin immediately, with the rest set to be progressed over the next 18 months. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Kiwi chicks hatching in the remote southwest of Fiordland this year have been given a chance of reaching adulthood, following an aerial 1080 poison operation last month. The drop like this one seen in file footage was a first for Wet Jacket Peninsula in Fiordland National Park. Doc says the primary purpose of the operation was to protect vulnerable Kiwi chicks from heavy stoat predation. In previous years, the department had monitored 34 chicks, of which nearly all were confirmed or suspected to be killed by stoats. A Good Samaritan has come to the rescue of a Dunedin businesswoman after a car crashed into her St Kilda home. Being unable to continue her business from home, she's now been given a free office space in Dunedin's iconic Barton's building.
Dunedin businesswoman Chesa Musiewski is settled into her new office in the Barton's building after her home office in South Dunedin's Victoria Road was smashed into by an SUV back in May this year.
And the house is badly damaged. Half of the house is unoccupiable still. And unfortunately, this working space was exactly at the impact point.
Upon learning of the damage to her office, business associate Chris Willis has given her some recently vacated office space in his building to use in the interim, and for free.
Well, we thought it would be a little churlish to charge for it, given that their own office had been damaged by the car. We just thought it would be just a random act of kindness, I guess, to say, look, why don't you come and set yourself up here, at least until your own home is back in action. And that seemed like a reasonable thing when we had the space available and empty anyway.
Musiewski is in the process of resurrecting the former electricity company Payless Energy Limited, and says she loves the positive spirit she's found in her 36 years living in Dunedin.
I believe in Dunedin. I believe that we will come up even stronger after all those difficult times.
Now providing office space for various companies, the Barton's building was once a butchery, well known for its animated farm animals on the exterior. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, we met a local Dunedin rock band as they get ready to release their debut album, and we catch up with Dunedin North Member of Parliament David Clark as part of our pre-election series, so see you after the break.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Hi, Lindsay Campbell. We're back in Invercargill again. We're here for a month. We've got a men's fashion clearance at up to 70% off. We're right beside the motorcycle Mecca. Check them out too. Jackets, lovely knitwear, scarves, hats, you name it, we'll keep you warm. Come and see us at the Menswear Fashion Clearance pop-up.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
That's the Alex Campbell Menswear pop-up store in Invercargill.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Wrens are Otago's painting, tiling and plastering experts. Offering a free measure and quote, Wrens is a name you can trust to get the job done right. Call Wrens today on 477 9384 or visit wrens.co.nz.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Do you know Youth Grow in North East Valley? It's an awesome plant nursery where young people can work and learn life skills. You can now order your vegetable seedlings, herbs, bulbs and shrubs over the phone or by email. Either pick up your order on Norwood Street in North East Valley or they can deliver to you. Look for Youth Grow Garden Centre on Facebook or visit youthgrow.org.nz. Happy gardening!
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Heaven Sent Pet Cremations knows that losing a pet is like losing a family member, and we have many special ways for you to keep their memory dear to your heart. From caskets, remembrance pendants to remembrance fairs. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today.
Welcome back. Dunedin rock band Saurian are set to release their debut album, which has been 2 years in the making. Frontman Carl Brinston says the band has come a long way since their humble beginnings in a Mosgiel garage.
From their beginnings as a high school band several years ago, Saurian are set to release their debut album, and frontman Carl Brinston is pretty stoked.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So it's out on Spotify and things now. The studio version of the album, and people seem to be listening to it a fair bit, so we're pretty happy about that.
There have been a few lineup changes over the years, but he and his drummer are core members. Brinston says the band sound has changed a bit, but remains true to their roots.
Yeah, I mean, we did start out sort of with the aim of being a metal band, but then as we sort of progressed through our songwriting and stuff, we sort of went, oh, no, that's not for us.
Saurian recorded the album in their drummer's shed in 2018, experimenting with using different types of microphones placed in different parts of the room. Brinston says it was a learning experience.
I've learnt that there's very few microphones that actually sounded good, so we won't use so many next time. And yeah, and I've sort of figured that the more straightforward it is to record, the easier it'll be later. So that was a good thing to learn early on.
Some members of the band have moved on to tertiary study, and Brinston's in his second year of a music technology course at the University of Otago, and says he's learning a lot, sometimes almost by accident.
Some of the stuff that the lecturers will say just on the side is sort of like, they'll just sort of brush past it and I'll sort of go, oh, that's really useful. And then I've gone ahead and sort of, even when I've been doing the production on the album, I've sort of gone, I'm taking that, and then just use that and try it and go, wow, that really works. And so it's just sort of, there's lots of small things that you sort of pick up on when you're in a sort of studio environment, like when you're studying.
Saurian released their album Brooding this Saturday at Dunedin's Crown Hotel, with support from up-and-coming indie bands The Slinks and Tunes. In Dunedin, The South Today.
Dunedin North Member of Parliament David Clark is the incumbent in the new Dunedin electorate, but isn't resting on his career to date. He's had an up and down few years, gaining then losing the health portfolio, and now says he's happy to be simply an electorate MP if voters select him.
Heading out on the campaign trail from his electorate office, current Dunedin North Member of Parliament David Clark is taking nothing for granted.
Look, I love the role that I've had the privilege of having for the last 9 years, which is serving the people of Dunedin North as their constituent MP. When they've got challenges, issues, I get to represent them in Parliament, both at an individual level, but also the things that are of importance and interest to this community. I love Dunedin and I love representing its people.
He's faced some challenges during his time in Parliament, being demoted from a cabinet position.
I know I have stuffed up in the last week. I have let New Zealanders down, and I've apologised to the Prime Minister, and I do apologise to the public.
The former Health Minister wouldn't confirm or deny whether he'd want a cabinet position again, saying the decision is out of his hands.
Oh, look, in the Labour Party, the decisions around cabinet appointments are made by the caucus. They vote in the cabinet, and the Prime Minister obviously has a big say in that. So that's not a decision for me to make.
However, he was the Health Minister during the toughest times of the COVID-19 pandemic, and says while he was removed from the role, he remains proud of New Zealand's response to COVID-19.
We eliminated community transmission. We are the envy of the world right now. The big challenge is to make sure that we stay that way and build on the advantage we've got. We've got one of the most open economies in the world right now because of the sacrifices that New Zealand has made across the board. And as a government, we want to keep building on that.
Dr Clark remains pleased with his party's efforts towards Dunedin's new hospital, saying it'll be a great asset to the south. He says he's loyal to the electorate and is enjoying meeting new people with the changes to the boundaries.
Look, I've spent some time already door knocking out on the peninsula. That's a part that wasn't previously in the electorate that I served. So I've been spending some time out there making sure I get to know what the local issues and needs are.
However, he wasn't keen to comment on the current state of the National Party.
Oh, look, I'm really focused on supporting the government and the work that it's doing. Obviously, the internal struggles and rifts and rivalries in the National Party are their business to sort out, and I don't have any comment to make on that.
New Zealand is set to go to the polls in around 60 days' time, on September the 20th. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, we have Football Chat host Morgan Jarvis with a preview of round 5 of the Southern football season, and we take a look at what the weekend's weather has in store for you, so stay with us.
المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر.
Heaven Sent Pet Cremations knows that losing a pet is like losing a family member, and we have many special ways for you to keep their memory dear to your heart. From caskets, remembrance pendants to remembrance spheres. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today.
Hi, Lindsay Campbell. We're back in Invercargill again. We're here for a month. We've got a men's fashion clearance at up to 70% off. We're right beside the Motorcycle Maker. Check them out too. Jackets, lovely knitwear, scarves, hats, you name it, we'll keep you warm. Come and see us at the Menswear Fashion Clearance pop-up.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
That's the Alex Campbell Menswear pop-up store in Invercargill.
Garage Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garage quality service. Garage Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Evening, I'm from the Parks Department. Have you got a permit for that fire?
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. MoleMap is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Wrens are Otago's painting, tiling and plastering experts. Offering a free measure and quote, Wrens is a name you can trust to get the job done right. Call Wrens today on 477 9384 or visit wrens.co.nz.
Do you know Youth Grow in North East Valley? It's an awesome plant nursery where young people can work and learn life skills. You can now order your vegetable seedlings, herbs, bulbs and shrubs over the phone or by email. Either pick up your order on Norwood Street in North East Valley or they can deliver to you. Look for Youth Grow Garden Centre on Facebook or visit youthgrow.org.nz. Happy gardening!
Step into Op Shop on St Andrew and discover a place with plenty of bargains for yourself, your friends and the whole family. We have new items arriving every day. Visit us for a fabulous range of economy and upmarket clothing, accessories, books, shoes and more. Shop with us and support your community.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Thanks for staying with us. With round 5 of the Southern football season this weekend, the 2020 winter football season is already a month old. This week, Football Chat host Morgan Jarvis is joined by Dunedin technical player Tom Peterson and Jenna Reddy from Green Island Football Club.
Welcome to Football Chat, brought to you by McDonald's Dunedin. We've had a month of football now in the local SPL and WPL competitions. Got a couple of guests in today to chat about the competitions. Thanks to Tom Peterson from Dunedin Tech and Jenna Reddy from Green Island for coming in. We'll have a look at the results from the Southern Premier League in the weekend. Tom, we touched on, you went up against Green Island, who are top of the table and really flying this year. And while Green Island came away with a 2-0 win, it was a pretty tight game, 0-0 half time. I think your team missed a penalty and Green Island scored in the second half and then finished it off with a goal late in the game. Can you tell us a wee bit about the match?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It was really even that first half, and it was a great save on that penalty, which could have swung the match in our favour, but it wasn't to be. And to be fair, I think we had plenty of other chances in which we could have gone 1-0 up.
Wanaka travelling down to Dunedin to face Caversham, and Wanaka came away with a 3-1 victory.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a wow moment seeing that result, but Wanaka in the past have definitely shown that they can pull off some good results and definitely turn up on the day, which has certainly been our experience.
If we move across to the WPL results, and Jenna, we touched on earlier, but you went up against Rosamai Carey. It was an 8-3 scoreline in the end, which, well, certainly from what I caught of the match, was probably a little bit flattering for Rosin, but it was just that kind of game where there was a lot of end-to-end action, and they probably just scored their goals at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. They found the gaps and they used them, and they've got players like Renee Bacon who will always punish you if you make a mistake. So yeah, absolutely, they deserved their goals. But yeah, it's still, it's a hard one to take, but always going to learn from losses, wins, draws. We'll always continue on and learn from them.
We'll take a quick look at the tables, the Southern Premier League. So Green Island out on top, winning 4 from 4, but they have got the bye this weekend, which will give some of the other teams a chance to catch up. And if we move across to the Women's Premier League, Dunedin Tech, the only unbeaten team at the moment, and yeah, there's Jenna, there's certainly a lot of sort of competition amongst those spots, and most weeks, like particularly coming up against Queenstown, they're going to be certainly wanting to keep breathing down the neck of Dunedin Tech and Rosin at the top of the table.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a tight draw at the moment.
And we'll look at the fixtures for this weekend in the Southern Premier League. We mentioned earlier, Tom, you're travelling up to Wanaka. Caversham travelling up to Forrester Park to face Northern, and look, that's going to be another tough game for a Caversham team which has also found the start of the season pretty tough.
To the fixtures for the Women's Premier League. We mentioned earlier, Jenna, you're heading up to Queenstown. A huge match scheduled for Ellis Park there with Rosamond Carey hosting Dunedin Tech. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us. Thanks again to McDonald's Dunedin and Justin and Edere Stonelake, who are huge supporters of football in Dunedin. Big thank you to Tom and Jenna for coming in. Cheers, guys.
Yes, thanks for having us.
The full episode of Football Chat can be watched anytime on the Otago Daily Times website. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South today. Queenstown and Invercargill are ruled out as centres for quarantine hotels, but Dunedin could get 2 or more after those in charge are in the South. Nearly 200 jobs could be created in the South as plans to upgrade the Homer Tunnel are announced by Shane Jones. And there's some good news for a St Kilda couple after a car crashed into their home. And now look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome Hayden, what have you got for us in tomorrow's paper?
Good evening, Mel. Well, of course, the big news, the Minister Megan Woods in town today talking about managed isolation facilities, and yes, it's nearly Dunedin's turn to step up to 2 or possibly 3 hotels to be used. We should find out soon which ones they are. And I think up to 300 people will be coming here for quarantine. So a huge amount of interest, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of reaction to that. And an interesting side story to that is we've talked to a Dunedin woman who recently flew back from England to Auckland, and she's told us a little bit about the whole process of re-entering New Zealand and what it's like. And her view is that it's very reassuring. Strong sort of military presence. I guess the military has now sort of taken over to run a really tight ship. And I think people will find that read really interesting too, and be reassured that all our Kiwis coming back into the country are being A, looked after, and B, that we're all being sort of looked after and protected from the risk of COVID. So that sounds good. And look, a bumper sports pages tomorrow. Quite a few good sports pages. Huge news today. New Zealand Rugby outlining the possible shape of a future Super Rugby competition, cutting ties with Sanzar, cutting ties with South Africa, but very keen to get a Pacific Island team involved. And it sounds like good news for the Highlanders too, saying they're very, very clear that they will be keeping the 5 existing New Zealand teams. So rugby fans will be keenly interested. And there's also a bit of a yarn on Liverpool football in tomorrow's paper, Mel. I can't obviously say who's written that, but it's a sort of a fan's view of why Liverpool's victory in the Premier League meant so much to so many people, let's face it. So hopefully that's an interesting read as well.
I have a very good friend that will love that piece, I'm sure. She'll be looking tomorrow. And you can catch all of that and more in tomorrow's ODT. And now it's time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with the city view, Pride of the South, Robbie Burns in Dunedin with the Pride Month flag to his left. Looking at the situation, light easterly airflow will remain over the weekend with more fine but cold weather for the region. Yep. To the southern towns, plan for light easterlies and mostly clear skies for the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore, and you're all due for 7 degrees. And moving to central Otago, you can expect light winds and clear skies. Wanaka should reach 5 degrees, Queenstown heads for 4, while Alexandra is set for 7 and Dress for 8 degrees in Tiana. To the northern towns on the coast, Timaru and Oamaru can expect light easterlies, cloudy skies and 9 degrees. Inland, those in Tuazu and Amarama can plan for light winds, clear skies and 7. In Dunedin, fine and cold tonight with an overnight low of 0. Mostly broken cloud with some sunny periods at times tomorrow with a high of 9 and a low of 6. And it's similar weather on Sunday but with longer sunny periods, looking at a high of 10 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, fine and cold tonight with an overnight low of 0. Mostly fine and sunny tomorrow, looking at a high of 11 and a low of 0. Similar conditions on Saturday with light easterlies, a high of 11 and a low of 1. And that's all from us. Thank you. Good night.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.